All right, let's go through chapter 3. This is a really short chapter. Just take a few minutes to go through this. And we're dealing with the theater and cultural diversity in this one. All right. Here's the thing about art in general, and this applies, of course, to theater because theater is art and entertainment. It is a mirror to society. So, as artists, as entertainers, we take what is already out in society and we reflect it back to the society so that people can be entertained, or in terms of artistic merit, something that can engage the artist, or I'm sorry, engage the audience members. And so there are some terms that are good to know that will win you good friends at the next cocktail party that you go to, when you start talking about culture and pop culture and enculturation. I like that word, enculturation. And those are the kind of things that happen that help us to understand and learn about the culture that we're in. Some other cultural terms. And actually, speaking of enculturation, what do you think the Trayvon Martin case teaches us about our culture? Do you think that's a enculturation in terms of what happened? Do we learn anything from that? Does it say anything about all our culture, the African American culture, the American culture, the European American culture? What do you think that says? Now, in terms of the different types of theater of the people, and that's referring to the idea that theater is supposed to be for people, of course, and it breaks down into three what categories. All right, so you have theater of, what's that, identity, theater of what, protest, and cross-cultural theater. Now, when you deal with theater of identity, those are the plays that you'll see that have a focus on a certain groups, a certain type of people's what? Identity. And so it is spreading the culture or the ideas, or it has the artistic merit to talk about issues that, and it's usually dealing with issues of a subculture. So the main culture of this country is the white Anglo-Saxon male culture. So anything that isn't about that serves a smaller section, would be considered theater of what? Identity. So plays that deal with black culture, like Raisin in the Sun or any August Wilson plays, or plays that deal with the Jewish culture, or plays that deal with gay and lesbian issues. Those would be theater of identity. Some other examples. Anyway, that's Don Cheadle, from Iron Man. Some other plays. All right, now dealing with theater protest. Theater in essence is political in nature. So most plays are, especially if you're doing something with conflict, have some sort of protest in them. But when you're dealing with something that's specifically centered to address a social ill, things that are basically things that are going wrong in society, and a playwright, a director, they want to address those things and deal with those things, that would be considered theater of protest. A few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, we did a play called The Exonerated here on campus, and that was a play about people who were people who were sent to life imprisonment or death row that were innocent of their crimes. And so they told the story of people who were exonerated, meaning they were let go or they were set free. And you know what? I mean, it was upsetting. Actually, you know what was kind of cool though is that there were some of those people were in Florida. I'm new to Florida, and so I'm learning a lot about how messed up this state can be. With these social issues. So yeah, some of the people who were exonerated actually came to our play, and we had a discussion about that, and they talked about being being in prison for several years, some people decades, and new DNA evidence would be found, and they were let go and or exonerated. So yeah, we need those kind of plays. Those are important plays to talk about. They tend not to be very popular because a lot of people like to be entertained, but they're still important in telling stories about social injustice. And then finally, cross-cultural theater. That's the idea of mixing cultures together for a theatrical style. So it's not really like mixing a black actor with a white actor and having those cultures mixed together on stage. It's more about the the way a theatrical performance is done, and you mix that together. So remember, I asked you in one of the tests, what are some what theaters, what styles uses shadow puppets, and that was the Sanskrit, or sometimes the Muslim culture. But imagine if you had shadow puppetry and live action, and you did a play that mixed those two things together. So that would be along the lines of cross cultural. When The Lion King opened up on Broadway, that was a huge, well, it still is a huge success, but one of the aspects or reasons why it was so successful is because of its cross cultural dynamics. So it actually using puppetry techniques from Asian countries and mixing it with, well, an American animated movie, and mixing it with live action. So and with a American style theatrical setting. So that's another example of very successful cross cultural theater experience. All right, another vocabulary word. The NEA is a good thing to talk about real quick. I mentioned it before a little bit, I think, in chapter 2. But here, the NEA stands for the National Endowment for the what? Arts. So, yeah, that's a government institution. And that government institution funds theatrical or artistic projects by giving them grants. And one of the things that's controversial about it is that a lot of times people try to shut down the NEA because the government is giving artists money. And a lot of people who don't understand the arts thinks it's a waste of time. So there's millions of dollars being given to the NEA, but the truth of the matter is that that is like 1% of 1% of the money. Sorry, let's go back. Of the money that's given to the NEA, that's given to artists. So things like the military spends billions of dollars on war, and artists want a fraction of that to promote art. But because there are times when the art is controversial, where an artist would do something that is some people might consider not really art, then people get upset because it's like the government is supporting some kind of performance piece that's not art, that's not considered art. And so a lot of times people just want to get rid of the whole thing. But the NEA also helps with getting violins and music instruments to classrooms, and more than just performance art or naked pictures. All right, so that is it for chapter 2, and I will talk to you guys later.